brilliant.
Well, first.
Like,
First, she was so ahead of her time because, well, first of all, she wrote a play called Sex, and it's like in the 20s. So, I mean, I feel like that's still more interesting and exciting than a lot of the things that they're putting on now. And then she wrote a play called Dragon. I think that's the one she got thrown in prison for. But I think she's just, she was just so, by the time I saw her, it was with W.C. Fields, and she was almost becoming fossilized, in those corsets and that whole thing. And she was a caricature of herself. But in the 20s, she was absolutely kicking ass, and she was a genius. She would have been on the Lower East Side, when we were hanging in the 80s. You know what I mean? That's right. Sorry, I just had to say that.
It's like a flashback from the 80s now.
I mean, that's who she would have been.
Alphabet City in the 80s.
She would have been that. I mean, that's how outrageous. I mean, she was, friggin' genius. So, yeah, I started doing that tune. The next tune I want to do by her that I don't do it yet is I'm an Occidental woman in an Oriental mood for love.
Nice.
I know they're going to probably kick me out of Manhattan for singing that, but I have to do it. So anyway, I love being here.
Thanks.
So,
yeah, I think it's a good room. It sounds great, right?
It's an amazing, first of all, it's an amazing place.
And singing in the oldest restaurant in America.
And
that's kind of cool.
Absolutely unbelievable. And we found like these crisscrossing ways that we know each other. No,
Our
we've
mothers
never been
know
together.
each other, right? Yeah.
And I don't think we've been with anybody that has been with either one of us. So I'm not talking about that. I'm just speaking.
Good way to clarify.
But yes, our mothers knew each other.
Yeah.
And your uncle worked with
worked with your mom.
Worked with my
yeah,
mom,
worked with your mom
at the tea room, and so that just made me feel like very comfortable.
Yeah, but what a small world.
Really small world.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my cousin just texted me on my way up here that she had like 2 major events here that I didn't even know about. So, how long have you been here, and you've been with this place?
Well, it's like a loaded question.
How long has it been yours?
It's been like just mine for the last, I would say, 4.5 years. But I mean, I was the architect that did the restoration work in the 80s. So I had something to do with this building for a quarter of a century.
So it's love.
Yeah, right?
That's love.
I don't know, but that's the restaurant business. It's like a bloodborne illness.
It is a bloodborne.
Right? It's like it's in your gene pool. You can't get it. I can't flush it out. So, yeah, I did everything I could to possibly avoid the restaurant business growing up. And to my mother's great chagrin, I remain in the restaurant business.
Yeah, my mother's not happy with me either.
Right? Now that you're...
No, she's never... I've been in the business my whole life. I've worked in restaurants forever, and my mom always wanted me to be like, an astrophysicist or something. Yeah. And all I ever wanted to do was be in a restaurant.
I think my mom wanted me to be a lawyer at one point. I'm
yeah.
Like, what?
No, my mom still will every now and then pipe in with something like that, like, wow, you could
still
be
go back to law school, yeah.
Right? Said, you would have been such a great lawyer, and I'm looking at her, I'm like, wait, where's that happening? Is that going to happen between the nightclub gig and on my way to the restaurant? But no, I think it's a disease. You're right.
Right? Yeah. I don't know.
I think it's like circus people.
You know how like some folks, and I fall prey to this too, have to like vent your artistic self some way, like you do it through singing, or like I do some dabble in visual arts or whatever. The restaurant business is much the same way. Like you kind of have to do it. Like once you get in,
people. I mean, there's no choice. That the idea that
why would you spend 16 hours a day at work? And it's not a love, it's kind of a obsession, It's not like you like doing it, it's much like kind of like you have to do it. Like, it's like obsessive behavior. It's not natural. But,
no, I think that, I do think it's like circus people that way.
You're right, carnies.
We're carnies. I really do feel like that. I feel when you around people, Tom is a hybrid like us. I mean,
right.
Tom's a hybrid really like me because he's both. And
he's a hybrid more than one.
And did Tom tell you that how we came together at the townhouse and how we created a nightclub together there? And so we were both wearing both hats. We were running the restaurant and I was performing and he was helping me make the whole thing happen. And that's why I'm really, excited to be back with him for many reasons, but mostly because he has a total sense of humor about all of it. And some people take it all too friggin' seriously. So if you take it too seriously, you're going to really die much earlier than you need to. That's my other theory about the restaurant business.
Yeah. Well, most of the men in my family die young anyway,
yeah,
so.
in ours too.
Yeah. The women live forever though, so you're lucky.
No,
Yeah.
I know. I have a feeling I'm a combination. I think I have enough testosterone. I could keel over any moment now. But what else did we want to talk about?
I think you guys.
Are we
I
good?
was giving the thumb. That